Well, this whole, the whole mask thing was kind of my nemesis. It really was. It's like, oh, are you kidding? Because I remember when we were on that Zoom and you were being asked to go tell businesses that they needed to shut down and all that kind of stuff. And I remember you saying, I'm not going to go tell somebody that that's their livelihood that they're going to get. I remember you taking a stand on that, and I appreciated you taking a stand there, because it would be really hard to tell somebody that's their livelihood. And they didn't know whether they're going to get government assistance or any of that kind of stuff.
But here's the other thing, though. It shouldn't have mattered, because here's the thing. You have a choice.
Right.
Okay? Every single business out there had a delivery service. You could have ordered your medications from the pharmacy and they'd have dropped it on your door.
Right.
I still, to this day, get Walmart groceries, no contact. They just set the groceries on my door and leave.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to go to a restaurant, they would bring you your food. Right. They would bring it right to your door, set it on your door, leave, so you don't have to have any human being contact. So I'm sitting here going, why are we stopping people from going into these businesses? This is about a personal choice.
Oh, man.
And they know the risk.
That whole deal had such a long-lasting impact on our economy.
Oh,
we're still struggling today.
True.
Anyway, so that, but the mask thing is like, I'm getting advice from all the health officials and the CDC, and everybody's recommending this. And they finally started to back off a little bit and said it's highly recommended that you do this. And so my position on it was going to be, we highly recommend it, and you get to make the choice. Every human being gets to make the choice. Absolutely. And my line was going to be, I don't want anybody being shamed or disrespected because they choose to wear a mask or not wear a mask in our schools or in our workplace.
Right.
That's your personal choice. And if you want to do that, then you should do it. And if we can manage it, if kids and parents still choose not to come to school, we'll try our best to provide learning for you in that remote environment. But we really can't guarantee the success of education in that format, because we're finding that it doesn't work well for the majority of people. So we really need them in school, face-to-face with their teachers, whether they have a mask on or not.
Yep.
Okay. And I remember the dilemma of where we were going to go with this. And I had my team together with board members, and we were trying to decide, are we going to have a mask mandate or not? And I remember laying awake at night, the night before the school opened, and I'm thinking, I got this image of one of our associate principals at CMR High School, big dude, I won't name him, but you know who he is.
I know who he is.
Yeah, he stands in the hallway, and the kids are coming in from lunch, and he's asking them to take their hat off and get the Copenhagen out of their mouth or whatever. I can just see him when a kid comes through the door and he's not wearing a mask, and he's got to encounter this kid and say, put your mask on. I'm not going to put my mask on. I don't have to. And he's got to have, an interaction with a kid, because we're mandating that they wear a mask in our public schools, and this is a no-win situation. And then he's going to call the kid's dad, and the dad's going to say, my kid doesn't have to wear a mask. Mm-hmm. I can just see these. I mean, this scenario is playing out in my head as I'm laying there in bed, and I'm thinking, we cannot ask our administrators to enforce this, because they can't, and it will put them at loggerheads with our community, with parents and kids. And so I went back and I called an emergency meeting with our cabinet, and we had our board guys come in, and I told them this. I said, I just don't see how they can do it. And at this point, they had provided vaccines for older kids, right? They didn't have the youth vaccine at the time, so there'd been a round of vaccines that were made available to adolescents. And so if parents wanted to have their kids vaccinated, they could. And so what we decided to do is not require masks in the high schools, but in the elementary schools, until they had the opportunity to have the vaccine, we're going to require masks, right? I mean, that we came to a compromise situation.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
But I still knew that our elementary administrators were going to face the same thing, because there was a belief system that masks had no effect on this disease, or the spread of this virus, excuse me. Anyways, as it turns out, there was a fairly good backlash even about that compromise position. It was a no-win deal, right?
Yeah.
And I remember walking into Valley View Elementary School on the first day of school down here. And out in front, there were a group of parents, grandparents, and kids with signs. And it said, kid is holding up a sign, no more, M-O-O-R-E, no more mandates. And it had, a mask, a big X through it. I came walking out of the front door of the school after touring the school at 9 o'clock or whatever, and they were still kind of out there across the street. And I walked out, and I smiled and waved at these folks and went down to get my truck. And this little guy, he's like a fourth grader, he comes running after me. He says, Superintendent Moore, would you like this? And he hands me this no more mandate sign. No, I'm not kidding. And I turned around and I looked at this little guy, he's a little blonde-haired towhead, and I said, thanks, man. I said, I'm going to take this back and put it in my office, and I'm going to think about you every day when I look at this thing. And he's just smiling. I think his grandpa is kind of smiling and waving at me. He saw that deal. It's like I just pitched that sign this summer when I was kind of cleaning out the office. But I'll never forget that time period. It was, you're just making decisions that you thought were best for the overall well-being of folks under your care. And we made some good calls and we made some tough calls, and some of them we had to rethink.
Absolutely.